Hey, I accidentally broke my players, although in the end they kind of outsmarted me. They were supposed to rob a wizard's house. Simple job. The first hour actually went perfectly. Then they found the cat. Today, the full recipe for this one shot. Let's see if you hold up better than my players did.
My players were huddled in a dark corner of a small musty room. They stared down at their paws and tails in horror. Around them were the survivors. Some missing legs, some whose children had simply vanished, some who had gone completely mad. Dead silence at the table. Nobody said a word. Then one of my players looked up at me.
DM, I get it. I do. But why is everyone else a mouse and I'm a rat?
I smiled mysteriously. One in a game day earlier, it all started with a letter. The players were sitting on Tavern Tamir, a city wedged between Borderland Lake and a Shadowlands. The letter was written in words cut out from newspapers.
Inside an address and a single line. In the old wizard's house there is a staff that grant wishes.
Who falls for a trap that obvious? They did. They knew about this house. All of Tamir knew. Among the many buildings and fortress walls, it stood wrapped in strange rumors and whispers that an old wizard lived inside. The mystery drew more and more people. Those willing to just look at it, or even climb the fence, tried to open a window, but some of those curious visitors started vanishing without a trace. After that, the house got labeled cursed. Property values nearby collapsed, and the neighbors covered their windows.
And sometimes after that, people started receiving mysterious letters from no one knew who, arriving no one knew when.
That very letter was now in the hands of Finto, a cheerfully huffing bard who was turning it over thoughtfully in every direction. In his bag hung a lute, which he kept absently strumming with quiet, vaguely inappropriate melodies. Beside him sat Talisa, a serious, red-haired half-elf ranger. Talisa always had a plan, usually 2, sometimes 3. The problem was that her plans didn't account for the rest of the party. Bacon, a shifter fighter, was a wolf, so he did his best to disappear under his hood from unwanted attention.
It's never comfortable when people look at you and think, so, whose grandmother did you eat?
And Zara, the rogue who had brought them all together. Zara could pick a lock faster than she could think. Sometimes that was a problem, especially when whatever was behind the door turned out to be something that probably should have stayed locked.
And so, sitting around a table in a Moody's tavern, the heroes argued about what else they should find out before breaking into the house.
This is where I give the players their first roll, 1d20 to gather rumors to see what additional information they already know. 1. You heard from a local Vargan that the house has been empty for years. 2 to 5. Someone apparently lived there, a ginger cat, and there is a cat flap in the front door. 6 to 10. The wizard who used to live there hasn't been seen in a long time. 11 to 12. A neighbor named Andy went missing. His wife and son missed him terribly. 13 to 15. The entire family across the street vanished suddenly. 16 to 19. A couple of windows at the back of the house looked considerably flimsier than the rest. 20. There is a faint magical aura around the house that ends right at the fence. One sunset later, our heroes finally decide to rob the wizard's house, or more accurately, the wizard's bungalow, since it's only one story. They decide to approach from the back, drawing less attention.
As a GM, you don't have to nudge them towards this, but I'd recommend setting the CR for the front door to impossible, just for a gentle hint.
At first, timid as young deer, they creep up to the rear center windows. And after breaking their nails, their lockpick and their rock sprite, they realize some of the windows are magical illusions, and there is nothing but solid walls behind them. This should spark some curiosity, as player might start suspecting that the real world is hidden behind it. Opening the nearest actual window beside a blooming cherry tree, the heroes step into a dusty kitchen. What is that stale smell? I thought that was you. The kitchen has a cabinet, scattered chairs, an island table, a wine rack with bottles of decent wine, a magical rag that can grab uninvited guests, a super sharp knife with a +2 to attack, and a tavern pile of books on top of which sits How to Neuter Your Cats for Dummies, 3rd edition, revised and updated.
The dining room is thick with a sweet, putrid smell of rotten food.
It contains a table and chairs, rotten food on platters, a small magical gramophone playing jazzy music, a wardrobe hiding a secret passage behind it, a stand with a magical bow and magical trap on it, and a large rug with a cat bowl, overflowing with the remains of dead mice and birds. Ooh, a pet cemetery.
Exploring the wardrobe, the heroes naturally meet the secret closet, and that's a shame, a real shame, because if they'd been paying attention, even passively, they could have found the body of the house owner, the long-missing wizard, with a pillow wrapped around his face. In his pocket, a small bundle containing a magic bean and a note that read,
"Hit them with a bean, instant stone, nice and clean." Unfortunately, in my own session, I just handed the bean to the players at the start, for free. A luxurious double bed with a red silk duvet, a nightstand containing a potion of visibility, a potion of seduction, and handcuffs with a pink fringe. In the center of the room, another magical rug for immobilizing intruders. Ha! Someone has taste? I wonder, are all wizards perverts? The hall is lined with paintings, has a couple of simple traps, and most importantly, a beautiful sword glowing with magical light, crudely jumped into the wall. Hey Vacant, that's one perfect for you. Yeah, just gotta get it out somehow. Maybe we break the wall?
No matter how hard they try, the sword won't budge.
At the end of the hall stands a solid iron door decorated with engravings. Jackpot, the vault! Let's check the rest of the house first. I don't want surprises. Mom, already started? The bathroom is unremarkable except for several portraits of interesting half-naked ladies.
After the bedroom, nothing can surprise you anymore.
The next room is a small library, containing far more romance novels than spellbooks. How to Tame My Dragon? What's that even about? Ha! The best version of Mage Hand! Oh, look, a guide to pulling a sword from a wall. In the living room, the heroes find a sofa with a coffee table, a chest of drawers containing 2 healing potions, a stand with a cage holding 2 small live birds, and a strange, very heavy device on the table beside the sofa, giving off some kind of glow. I have no idea how this thing works. Whatever. Hey, check it out. There is a letter on a coffee table. This cat is going to drive me insane. He won't stop yelling and I can't sleep. I will find a way to quiet him. And speak of the devil. To your surprise, you soon spot the cat, a ginger Maine Coon, acting you with a great interest from a windowsill. He looks calm and friendly. You can walk right up and scratch him behind the ears. I honestly don't even know where I got the cat idea from. Ginger boy, don't be afraid of our Vacant. He won't eat you. Sure, he won't. A desk and chair, a coat rack where players can find a cloak of evasion, a pile of books with a volume on top, tiled, werewolves, shifters and animagic. On the desk, a small wand with a note beside it, one wave and magic in its grave. Of course it's a dispel wand. Having finished exploring the house, the party heads back to the hall. Here Zara promptly opens the wall door.
And here it is, the sweet dear moment he'd been waiting for, the moment everything went wrong for the heroes.
Meow! Came the cat's voice from behind them. Turning around, the party saw the stone on the cat's collar, glowing red. Meow! He repeated, and a bright beam shot straight from the stone directly into our heroes. A blinding flash, a bang, ringing in the ears. Zara opened her eyes. Everything was spinning. Grab my hand, she heard Vacant's voice. She got up and ran after him, a strange feeling of confusion creeping in. Run! Run, my dears! We're just getting started. Something enormous and ginger nearly knocked her sideways. She leaped past it and spotted a small burrow her friends were disappeared into. She ran in last, caught her breath and looked around.
What the hell, DM? Yeah, you're mice now. But why I'm a rat? Well, you weren't exactly a human before.
And here it is, the moment. The culminations born after dozens of hours of Dark Souls. A survival camp. People turned into mice. Maimed, lost, completely broken. Like if you're in an airport after 2 days delay.
The mouse bar isn't exactly a cheerful place. Though, I'll be honest with you, I underestimated just how dark it would land. These were new players, and I didn't know how they'd roleplay, or I didn't know what was going on inside their heads.
Somehow, their character just went into shock, and didn't even try to talk to the NPC around them. That became especially clear when they heard what the half-mad mice were muttering to themselves.
For example, you might meet
Helena, A single mother who lost her children. Those children are the birds in the cage. The ones cat calls my crispy little nuggets.
My players went quiet. For a couple of minutes nobody said anything. They suddenly really felt the full horror of what's happening.
Anita, a traveler, a bit of a wizard, she lost a leg. But she also knows that beyond the fence, the transformation spell stops working, right where the magical fields end, and that the field is being generated by that strange device you saw earlier in the living room.
She can't escape herself, but she asks you to help if you manage to pull it off.
Andy, he's in shock, barely holding it together. If you get him talking, you can learn that the cat will lose all magical powers if you spray him with water.
Of course, that's just something he made up.
Kill as a rat. Just a rat. Keep in bothering vacant, but feed her something and she'll tell you about a secret passage to the outside. A tunnel running straight out from the burrow.
But eventually, after taking it all, my heroes pulled themselves together.
Go back into the house, reach the magical device, fight the hellish Maine Coon, and shut it down. Or try to escape through the secret passage, full of traps and obstacles. Meet the cat at the exit, defeat him, spring to the fence and turn back into people.
Other options are theoretically on the table.
Like founding a mouse kingdom and staging a full evolution, but we are not covering those today.
My heroes didn't think twice, they picked the second path, and that's where the things got really interesting.
We were running short on time, so I cut most of the rat tunnel, the obstacles and the little skirmish with the rats. They blew through it fast, climbed a rope twice and were out. Once outside, I gave them a chance to sneak past undetected. They needed to roll stealth 5 times in a row.
Eventually they failed and came face to face with the main antagonist, enormous, ginger and magnificent Fluffy.
Fluffy's story is as old as time. A long time ago, the old wizard magically enhanced his intelligence, and then decided to deal with Kate Wooling by snapping off Fluffy's spells. Fluffy, not one to overthink things, dealt with his own old-fashioned way. Then, using his fluffy little paws, some scissors, glue, and old newspapers, he set up his own personal food chain. One where the food wouldn't spoil but would simply live in his house. Forever!
Now, this is where the things are supposed to go according to my plan. They did not.
Fluffy was fully started and ready for a boss fight. Multiple actions, a set of magical spells, the ability to occasionally act outside his turn, all the good stuff a proper boss deserves. On top of that, thanks for the bard spells, the heroes quickly realize there is an anti-magic field around him. This is a fist fight. Anita can tip them off about the field too, by the way.
But here's what my players actually do. Remember the bean I accidentally handed them at the start of the session?
What beans, DM? We don't have anything.
Right, in the interest of minimal game repair, I put them in the dead wizard's pocket, but let's pretend you have them, just like my player did.
And do you remember the wands that dispel magic?
Now, put 2 and 2 together, get the obvious answer that was somehow not obvious for the DM while writing the session, because he figured the beans would deal with the enemy rats in the tunnel, and the wand would just strip the anti-magic field of the cat.
Wait, why can't wand just turn me back into a person?
Waken, you weren't a person to begin with.
Anyway, there was no fight. The heroes dispelled their anti-magic, threw the bean, turned Fluffy to stone, sprinted out of the field, came back, grabbed Fluffy by the scruff, took the magic collar, stuffed him in a bag.
And that's how they defeat the DM, the cat, and Dungeons & Dragons. The final touch, and this is honestly where you can be a really good DM.
Or a very, very naughty one. The heroes will almost certainly want to stop or destroy the magical device. Hitch will turn everyone back into people. And here you have to sit with one simple fact.
That some of these poor souls are inside a wall, and the children are in a cage. What you do with them once they are human again? That's entirely up to you.
The session was unusual, gripping and dark in place. It has plenty of branching paths for what the players can do, and more than a few plot holes which you, my listeners, are absolutely welcome to patch up.
Thanks everyone for watching. This has been the Wizard Tower. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, drop your comments, share your own stories, and remember, all the power lies in your sharp mind. And never, ever pet a stranger's cat.